Hello and welcome to Advertisers Watching Ads. This is a show where brands watch other brands' ads and discuss what's good and bad about them. This week, we're brought to you, as ever, by our partners Contagious, who've helped choose the ad this week. But before we get to that ad, let's meet this week's guests.
I'm Sam Dolan. I'm the head of marketing at Goodfella's Pizza.
I'm Sarah Eccleston. I'm a strategist at Dark Horses, an agency that specialises in sport.
Hi, and I'm Adam Boyter, CMO at Ecologi, the UK's leading climate action brand.
Hi, I'm John Williams, founder and chief exec at the Liberty Guild.
What a panel. Thank you so much for joining us today. So today's ad is quite an odd one. And we've got a couple of different brands, a tech brand and a sports clothing brand, doing a collaboration with some prisoners. So let's see that.
Meestal kijk je dan te horen, die veranderen toch nooit niet. Laten we dan maar gewoon zitten. Misschien omdat we een fout maken dat we niet kunnen veranderen, dat we niet geen mensen meer zijn.
Daar is een wielerploeg opgericht met 6 gedetineerden. Ze rijden op rollen op het virtuele platform Zwift.
As a retailer who makes sport accessible, Decathlon gave 6 prison inmates the chance to become the first e-cycling team for prisoners.
Dat is een mijlpaal, hè? Dat online is in de gevangenis.
Racing with people from the outside world on Zwift, as anonymous athletes instead of outcasts.
In dat programma zitten er ook aan de andere kant andere mensen ook op een fiets te fietsen, gelijk ik.
We put their schedules online so the Zwift community could join their rides.
Ik heb wel Zuid-Amerikanen tegengekomen, Chinezen, Britten, tot van overal eigenlijk.
Reconnecting them with society from behind bars.
When I heard about this initiative, I was just like, I need to ride with these guys. Just show them that people outside care about them and they want them to change and they want them to have a better life.
A podcast documented the impact on their mental health.
Van het moment dat ik qua verzuring en zo had in mijn benen, en dan begon ik mij te motiveren, dat was heel mooi, dat was echt, ja.
Showing the real power of a virtual sport.
De minister van Justitie en 5 kompanen die het gaan opnemen tegen 6 gevangenen die ook thuis rijden, hun tijdelijke woonplaats hopelijk dan.
Het maakt deel uit van datgene waar ik echt wel op inzet en dat is zinvolle detentie.
So what is customary is that you'll vote for how good you thought this activation was. So 1, 2, 3. A 4.
And that, I'm being nice.
And a 2. Did this campaign strike a chord with you?
I spend a lot of my time as a marketeer looking at advertising that isn't brave, it isn't single-minded, it isn't necessarily associated to the brand, but it's on trend for whatever the thing of the moment is. And this, for me, ticked all those boxes. They're all about making sport accessible. Mental health is top of everyone's agendas. They put a mental health screen on it. Arguably, that's the one bit that felt like a bit of a tick box at the end to me. They could have maybe integrated that a little bit more. I really liked it. I thought it was single-minded. It had an emotional benefit attached to it, which we know consumers love. I guess there will always be consumers who will say, well, you know, why are you chucking all that money behind prisoners? But then that's the bravery behind it for me. That's the kind of love it or hate it element which would make it cut through.
I think it's a great ad, to be honest. I think it's very emotional. I can't think of, people disagreeing with this, sort of in the sense that, shouldn't be spending money on prisoners in that way, because I think it's, to give them redemption and sort of rehabilitation is really important for humanity.
Giving a load of money to prisons so that prisoners can start to feel more integrated in society is a great and noble thing. And this, I just worry the reason behind it. Was it done because they wanted to genuinely help prisoners, or was it done because they wanted to get a goal clear for PR?
When I first saw the ad, I thought, why is it with Decathlon and why is it not Zwift just doing this? There's no doubt that this is it's now done well. It's driven by purpose. It's lifting people out of society and rehabilitating them. So that, it's got a great angle. I just wonder with this, where they take it next, or what's the integration piece behind it? So for example, did they have the exact same kit in the stores? I went online, couldn't find it. is every sale of that particular kit going to go towards global prison systems and rehabilitation?
Which would be great. Something that genuinely integrated purpose into if you're going to do it properly and do it in a way that really makes a bloody difference. That's a brilliant point, Adam.
You've got to take it to its natural, logical conclusion for full integrity and full trust, not just some superficial piece.
I think it would be great if they followed it up with the shirts are available this much, really kind of followed it through and made a long-term commitment. In previous roles, I've done a lot of work with charity, and the worst thing you can do is do it for a year and then sod off, because that just shows kind of how disingenuous it was in the first place. It was, back to John's point, all about making the money, and not that you really believed, not that it wasn't purpose-led at that point, it was sales-led.
Does anyone on this call actually genuinely believe that this is changing anyone's lives other than directly the people who sat on those bikes?
Purpose-led campaigns, should be, sort of fully integrated into the company, into the business. But for me, I feel that, being able to directly help these 6 prisoners, or I think there were 6 of them, I think that's a lot in of itself. Personally, I feel that, being able to directly touch 6 people as a company, and think's a good sort of foreshadowing for what's to come kind of thing. And I think if the broader mission is to make sports accessible, then it doesn't have to just be focused on prisoners. They could, touch minority backgrounds, they could touch disadvantaged communities, and they could do it in many different shapes and forms, as long as, the core message, the core strategy is, making sport more accessible.
I think you've got to give people the benefit of the doubt. I think the intent is definitely there. And I think better this than just another pilot high, sell it low, kind of typical promo advertising this bank holiday weekend. I think it is brave for a brand like that to do something like it's totally out of character to what we perceive Decathlon to be. And maybe this is their first pivot out. So I'll always give people the benefit of the doubt, and hopefully that they follow up with some more of this kind of stuff.
I think that their timing's spot on as well. I think there's a real challenge for brands with the cost of living crisis around defining their value outside of price. I think the timing of this, them recognising that actually putting an emotional benefit behind our brand is one way of defining value and keeping them in, it is pretty clever.
We've seen a lot of sort of purpose-led campaigns in recent years. And I think for me, this is an example of how to do it right. It's not sort of shoehorned in. It's very much important. It's part of the story. It serves a purpose.
And John, what's your view around Zwift? There's people who can afford that and do that and enjoy that in their spare room in the house. They've got an e-cycling rig set up, and there are people at the complete other end of the ladder where they've got to rehabilitate, come back into society, struggle to get a job. So do you find any tension there?
I think there's a huge tension. I mean, I knew nothing about Zwift. I'm utterly not target audience. There's a barrier to entry there. If this is to help to make the brand more inclusive, I suppose, and the start of a social purpose thing. It's like AR, VR. It will be great when it's mass, and this isn't mass. So I've been on creative juries for donkey's years, and I've got a huge sort of cynical filter. You can make films look brilliant, and social purpose has been sweeping through award shows for years. And if they all did what they said they were going to do, we would live in the fluffy, utopian, glorious place with no domestic violence and all of it. That they kind of don't. So I'm trying to get over that and open my heart to the possibilities here.
I do think there's also the opportunity. It feels as though it's Decathlon and Zwift is just the facilitator. I would have loved to have seen something around Zwift about, just that point. If this is about inequality or rehabilitation, then there must be X amount of miles cycled by all the Zwift community. Like if the Zwift community cycle X amount of miles, Decathlon will give X amount of, promotional discounts to local schools or other communities that need it. I think they've kind of missed a trick here.
Sam, Asura, John, Adam, thank you so much for your time. We'll see you next week.